Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody, to the best Wednesday show there is in the Fuel Network. It is the ATeam. I am your host, Amber. Amanda, unfortunately, is not going to be with us. That's okay. She's under the weather. But RC, as always, is here to help toe the line. Welcome, RC. How you been?
I've been missing you. I don't know, schedules going on, life going on, but I'm so
Yeah.
glad to see you. You look beautiful as ever.
Oh, you're too kind, too kind. Yeah, schedules have been a little bit hectic. Business has picked up for me, and hopefully it has for you as well. How have you been?
I've been doing great. Still working at the schools. There's lots of kids that need help. But the main thing is I went back to a grad school. I took a little break over the summer and I'm gonna keep working on my PhD for education.
Yep, it'll be not too long in the near future. We'll be calling you Dr. RC. It'll be awesome. I love it. I love it. Speaking of awesome people,
That's
RC
right.
has landed us someone very special. RC, who'd you bring on the show today?
Well, just trying to kind of get everybody caught up. We're covering the Women's Football League across the country, and each one of us kind of picked four different teams to cover. I picked ones that where I had family members, and so one of the teams that I was so excited to cover was the DC Divas. One, because I love the name. And so I reached out to the DC Divas and I was able to make contact with the player of the year, quarterback, Amanda. I don't want to butcher her last name. Can you remember what it was? I know what it is, but I just don't want to say it and butcher it.
Congialdi.
Yes, that's it. So, with much pleasure, so excited, here we are to talk to Amanda, quarterback for the DC Divas.
What's
Hello.
going on,
Many A's.
quarterback?
Hey, how's everybody doing?
We're
How
living
are you?
large.
The
Congratulations on Offensive Player of the Year. That has got to be a feat that you have strived to attain and finally got to it. Yeah. How many years did it take before you got to that part?
Yeah, no, that was awesome. Actually, I did win it in 2019, and then I won it this year. So that was cool. After we had a one in 2019, then COVID happened. We didn't have a season, and then in 2021, I tore my ACL.
Oh no.
I haven't really played a full season since this year, where I was able to play every game, start every game, finish every game. So that was pretty cool to be able to go back and win it again. But it's awesome because there's just so many really talented players in the WFA, especially in the offensive side of it, and even on my team. So it's definitely an honor for sure.
Very well deserved, especially overcoming the injuries and the hardships. Very, very much deserved.
Thank you.
I was going to say when I first made contact, she had asked me, "Why do you want to interview me?" And I was like, "Oh my God, why wouldn't I want to interview?" Representing the female football team, quarterback, which is a most important position for any team, and then being offensive player of the year. So I just want to say you are a great role model, and that's why we're doing this. We want to get the word out. And you may or may not know, but my passion is for female football players. So I know here in San Antonio, Texas, we there's a lot of females who love to play sports, football, but however, when they're trying to get into colleges, they don't have enough football scholarships. So either A, they have to switch sports, or do something different. And so we've had combines here in Fort Worth for the last couple of years, inviting different universities that will offer flag football scholarships to females. And so when we started, it had like 3 universities. Now we're up to 12. And so
Wow.
talking to you, getting the word out to some of these females who love playing sports just like you do, and giving them the opportunity to go to college on scholarships is amazing. So that's why we're reaching out to you. reaching
Yeah.
out to the Divas. We're reaching out to all of the female football teams because we really want to encourage football and females.
And that's awesome. And the fact that you want to reach deeper into the women's game specifically, it's not just football in general, it's women's football. I've played for a long time. This is my just finished my 14th season, and somebody who was able to see women's football from 14 years ago, 13 years ago, and to see where it is now. And, one of the stepping stones to get us to where we are now are people like you who are willing to, this show is willing to cover women's football and really show, people who aren't aware of it, what it has to offer. And we say in the women's game that women's football is the best kept secret. So, I definitely appreciate it. Truly, again, as somebody who has seen it from, even 5, 6 years ago and not getting the recognition that we have now. And, flag football is awesome now that it's in women's, well, it's in high schools, and especially where I live in Baltimore. It's getting big, and almost every school locally is starting to create a team. And I want to coach a team, and a lot of my teammates want to start coaching. Like, it helps us as athletes too. It helps us because we want to coach. So it's awesome. It's good during the off season because we also play flag. So I think what you guys are doing are super awesome, and I'm so appreciative of it.
So you speak of coaching. Are you looking to do like quarterback coaching? Or are you trying to become an offensive coordinator or maybe even a head coach?
Yeah, no, that's a great question.
Yeah, to
And
all of them.
yeah, no, that's a great question. I actually don't feel like I am the best in terms of a position coach. I know the fundamentals. I know how to, um, I know how to play quarterback in terms of throwing the basic fundamentals. I, for most of my career, I have not had a quarterback coach, to be honest. So a lot of it I've had to learn like on my own or on the fly or stuff like that. I really, really want to be an offensive coordinator. And the more time that goes by where I'm playing, the more excited I get, even though I don't want my career to end anytime soon. I feel like I have a lot left, but I get more excited knowing that there's this chapter around the corner that awaits. And I'm very schematics. Like my mind, you ask any offensive coordinator who's ever worked with me, my mind goes 100 miles a minute. Where I have all these plays in my head. It's like once one play is over, I have another one that I want to run. And sometimes credit to my offensive coordinator, because I would not win this award without him. He's let me be myself. He trusts me to call plays. It'll be on fourth down, 4th and 10. He'll be like, "What do you like?" And so I'll say, "All right, I want to run this play," and then he'll go call it. So the trust there is awesome. So really, just an offensive coordinator. And I would say maybe 2 years ago, I actually started to create my own offensive playbook. So it's not done by any means, but I want to be able to know it and perfect it by the time my career is over. And then I want to be an offensive coach in women's football. That's the goal.
Nice.
All right.
So
A
kind
lot
of
of
taking
goals.
it back, give us a little history of like how did it all start, your love for football, your love for playing, and then maybe you can add who was your female role model.
Yeah, so I grew up in Philly. I have a very close in age brother. We're only 15 months apart, and I was always very competitive with him. I have other siblings, but him and I were always super competitive. And in Philly, football is very popular, right? It's probably the most popular sport. Go Eagles! And I grew up playing football with the boys, with the big football, right? So they didn't let you throw with the little football. They also let me play quarterback, so I feel like that's where I developed my arm strength. So I grew up playing football with my brother and a lot of other boys. They trusted me to play quarterback. I was not the last one picked, which was awesome, which was fun. I'll always put that out there. And my first 5 years I played football was actually with the Philadelphia team. They were the then Philadelphia Firebirds of the IWFL, which doesn't exist anymore. But I got my first taste in women's football. 5 years, my first 5 years with the Philadelphia Firebirds, which was awesome. But I wanted somewhere where I can grow and get the best out of myself, which I didn't feel like I was getting in Philly. So then I moved here to the DC area to play for the team. That's why I'm here. In
Wow,
2016
that's
is when
really
I
brave
moved.
of you to move to a whole new city just for football.
Just for football, which has been worth it. It's been about 8 years now since I've been here, and my first year we won a championship, so it was awesome. It's been worth it just with that 1 year, and we've been close, a year since then. But we keep chugging along because those championships, they don't come often, but we have the team to do it. That's why I can't retire anytime soon. We have to have goals to chase.
So then, what's the favorite offensive play that you like to use?
Man, there's a couple that come to mind, but we do have a play where it's post wheel, post wheel. I like to throw it deep. I really like to take advantage of our speedy receivers, and we have a couple of them. You know, Especially this season, it was almost like a track team that we have. Super young, but super talented, super quick. And so, airing the ball out, letting them go get it and be athletes is always super fun. So a post wheel is something that we call often. We'll call it 6, 7 times a game, especially on third and long. And it works a lot. You just have to put it out there, let the athletes go get it, and they can do all the the work from there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, what would you say was your best game and why?
My best game. Okay. My best game. Um, this play specifically, this best game has to be because of the play, and this play will never happen again in my life. That's why it has to be considered my best game. Um, Back in 2019, the same year I won the Offensive Player of the Year, we were playing one of our biggest rivals, the Pittsburgh Passion. We were playing them on the road, and we were playing for the number 2 seed. So, we were playing basically for a home or away playoff game. We had to win the game, and they came down and they scored with 16 seconds left. They kicked the extra point, and that made them go up by 1. So they went up by 1 with 16 seconds left. We get the kick return. Our returner accidentally fumbles it, and it goes out of bounds. And then we have 14 seconds left with 66 yards to go.
Wow.
So 66 yards to go, 14 seconds left. There's not really a play in the playbook designed for that. We may have had 1 or 2 timeouts. Our combo, we ran basically an out and up with a post. So a post and an out and up. So not exactly a wheel, but the same type of concept. The ball was snapped. The first play from scrimmage, the ball was snapped. I saw a little opening to kind of step up and be able to see better. And then that closed really quick. The defensive lineman had my jersey, and I can send you guys the video. It was pretty cool. The defensive lineman had my jersey, and she's riding me to the sideline, so horizontal. And then something just made me push off of her. They thought they had sacked me on their sideline because their hands are up, and their defensive players in their secondary started to come up and get out of their lane. So I kind of pushed off one last, like, I don't know how I did. I pushed off, and then I reversed field, and I saw 3 open receivers downfield, and I threw it to one, and I thought it was short because I got hit when I threw the ball. She caught the ball, and then she got a really good block from one of our other receivers, and she scored on the first play. And
Nice.
it was the adrenaline was wild, and we were away. So, imagine, their sideline being stunned. But one play, 66 yards, and there was no time left on the clock. So that kind of gives you an idea of how long that play took. But I'd have to say that is the best game based off of that play. I will never have it again in my life. It is completely fine. I feel like I blacked it out, and I don't really know what happened. And when that happened, I got up because I got hit, and I didn't celebrate. I was very nonchalant because I just felt like there has to be a flag on the play somewhere. Like, there's no way that just
That just
happened.
went on.
And
Yeah.
so if you were to watch the film of after that, you'd kind of see that there's no really like celebration. Everyone else is celebrating. I was just kind of like, I think I was in shock. So it was a pretty cool moment. Never have it again, but I'll take it with me probably forever.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So then, with all of that, I mean, you've got phenomenal plays. I know that there's a lot of a lot of credit goes to the O line. If you go to, oh, look, I think we found the play.
Oh, did you find it? Oh, there
Look
it is.
at that. Here we go. This play right here, guys, goes to show
I
you.
have to put on my glasses for this.
Oh, there's the reverse.
There you are.
Ooh.
That was a hard hit.
Oh,
There's the
yeah.
Score, and the Divas will win. And the Divas will win. Are you kidding me? What? What?
That is phenomenal,
Wow.
man. You took a hit. Way to stay through
You
with
sure
it.
did.
Yeah.
That's some concentration right there, boy. I'm gonna tell you, it's
That was
not many
their
people take a
safety.
hit like that. Maybe David
That-
Carr his first season.
David Carr. That was their safety who came up and hit me. So that kind of puts in perspective how they started to get out of their lanes, because the safety
Yeah.
shouldn't be where I'm at. They should be back where all the receivers
Yeah,
are,
that secondary
right?
just totally came
Yeah.
up on it.
Right. So there were two players still left in their secondary, and I threw it to the first person I saw open, and I thought it was short, and then I heard our sideline go crazy. And
Yeah.
then I'm watching the rest of the play from the ground, and I'm just like, what just happened? So it was pretty cool.
That's amazing. Now, I mean, I see that you're able to maintain and scramble just as well as you are to stay in the pocket. Do you prefer, just a straight pocket kind of offense, or are you a shotgun kind of gal, or
Oh
you
yeah.
like to go ahead and run and scramble? Which one is it?
Well, if you asked me 10 years ago, it's going to be a scramble, because I was more of a running quarterback. And if I didn't see my first player open, my first read, I was going to run it. And I was a lot more athletic then, in terms of, like, I was thinner, I was faster, all that stuff. But now that I've learned the game more and I've learned how to manipulate defenses with my mind, it's so much more fun to be able to sit in a pocket and be in shotgun, because I hate under center. To be able to sit in the pocket and throw and manipulate like a linebacker, right? Because I really believe that if you can manipulate a linebackers of a defense, you can beat any defense, right? I feel like that's really the key holder to beating a defense. And so, I take it, a nice challenge to be able to go back and forth with some of the defenses that we play, like Boston, right? But absolutely being able to sit in the pocket and throw and let the athletes be athletes.
Well, I know earlier you had mentioned that you played football with your brother. Can you talk a little bit about the support that you get from your family?
Yeah. Back in the day, my dad wasn't a fan of, of me playing, because I've sacrificed a lot to be able to go to games and practices, and I've moved away, because we're all in the Philly area. And it took maybe a couple of years to convince him that this is something that, him being my dad, sorry, my parents, that this is something that it really drives me in life, and something that makes me super happy, and it's really my sanity. And so my dad is always watching the games that are streamed and aired, and my mom will watch it. Everyone else is too busy for me, but they do check in with that. My dad has now been my biggest supporter in terms of, ask me about, the games, and making sure that he's watching virtually. So that's been awesome. He's been to a couple games, but only when we go to the Philly area to play there. So then he'll be there. But it's been awesome. We talk about it, and he's super supportive, and he'll, it's cute when he'll post about, my, my awards or something like that on Facebook, because, dad posting about you is cute. So it's been awesome.
That's phenomenal. I
That's,
love the fact that you make your dad proud. Oh, RC, what do we got there?
oh, I can't read. I don't have my glasses on.
What? I'm very happy to read ESPN will be showing more women's football in 2025. So we've got Jared here.
Hey, Jared.
Saying that they're watching it. So hey, spread the word, guys. That's how this comes about. It's amazing. I'm hoping that by us doing this, being an all women show promoting women's sports and getting a women's perspective on sports, that we're not only showcasing everyone's talents, because phenomenal talent that's out there, but more importantly, we want to make sure that people know that there are options, that football isn't just one way. You can get out there and see these sports and look at these talented athletes and support them, and honestly be a baller on a budget. Of course we want you guys to get paid what you're deserved and everything, but sometimes it can get to be pricey, and this is a good, fun family way to enjoy sports and cheer on local heroes such as yourself, and be able to see the exceptional talent and honestly the love and the passion for the game. It's amazing. I just hope that we continue to push it forward for you guys.
Yeah, I think like I said earlier, truly, I don't think some advocates of our game truly realize how much of a difference they make. I feel like you guys do, and I feel like you guys are such a good, just a good representation. Even though you're not actually involved in women's tackle football from a player or a coach or anything like that, you still represent women's football, and that means a lot. And I feel like this, what was his name, James. James, watching, women's football. And now he mentioned that, we've done so well with ESPN that I believe that instead of just the championship game, I believe more games are going to be broadcasted throughout the season. So like a game of the week, which is big for us. It's big. There's no other women's league that has that type of deal, especially, with something as ESPN. And we play our championship at an NFL stadium. It's the Hall of Fame stadium. So that's where, the preseason games are played. Oh, some of them, right? So it's so awesome to watch women's football grow. And like I said, people like you guys who invest in it is part of that movement.
So tell us a little bit about your team. Like, what's the average age? How did they get involved? When do y'all practice? When are the tryouts?
Yeah, so we have one of the larger teams, I would say, that we roster some of the larger players. We'll have a roster probably about 60. Sometimes we start with 70, 75, and then we'll finish with about 55, 60. And then you have players who range from 17 or 18. We currently have someone on our team who's 51. So
Wow.
who's still doing it. She's still doing it. And you would never be able to tell. I could promise you'd never be able to tell. She doesn't even really get injured. She's a linebacker as well. So that puts a little bit more context into, just how passionate we are. We're willing to play into our 50s at crazy positions like a linebacker, mind you. So we're getting younger at our with our team. We're recruiting a lot of we're trying to recruit high school. We do a lot in the community. We do a lot of flag, like with young girls. So hopefully that they will also, contribute to our youth at some point when they're ready to grow and, play tackle football. So that's awesome. And then practicing, we'll practice preseason 3 days a week. So Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. When we have our games, Saturday becomes the game. But we actually start pretty early. So we'll start going, several times a week, I would say in like November. We start doing like conditioning and all that. So it's almost a full-time job. It's almost an all year round thing. We have a couple months off and then you're right back to work. So, but that's the part that you love, the grind, right? Because you win in the off season, not during the season. You have to prepare your body, your mind, do all that stuff in the off season. That's going to really help you propel in the season.
So off season, what are some of the passions and hobbies that you hold during the off season with that very valuable, minute couple of months that you get.
Very valuable, minute. Well, a lot of us play flag, so so football doesn't completely disappear. A lot of us play flag very competitively. I would say DC is probably arguably the most competitive area in, at least in the women's game, in the country. In January, there's a flag national tournament where hundreds and hundreds of teams go to Florida to compete nationally, and there's always a DC team that will win in like the fives game or the sevens game or the eights game. We won in the sevens. My team won in the sevens this past year, so that was awesome. So it's super competitive. So a lot of us dedicate a lot of time towards that. But also, I have 4 dogs here. Oh, there it is. There goes. That was after we won.
Nice.
So I have 4 dogs, but one is a foster. So outside of football, the 1A, 1B football, and then the other 1B is fostering. So I foster. I've done that for about 3 years. It's super gratifying. Probably the most gratifying thing I've ever done is to foster dogs. And so I currently have a foster right now. So working to get him adopted, hopefully sometime soon. But so that's awesome. So really just football and dogs. Anyone who knows me, football and dogs. And occasionally
Nice.
we'll write about it. That's about it.
All right. All right.
Well, I was going to ask, so I know I mentioned earlier that I have family members in Washington, D.C. So
Right.
now we are officially going to have field correspondence. So my niece, Denise Carranza, and her husband, Jack, have agreed whenever you let us know when there's a practice or when there's tryouts, they will go and take pictures. And that's really
Wow.
what we want to do. We want to make that connection, not just on a podcast, but in person. And so my niece and a nephew have agreed and decided to be our field correspondent. So in the near future, we'll see how y'all can connect. And they would love to go and meet some of you, take some pictures, and then report back for the podcast.
Absolutely. Wow. That's awesome. Do you know, does she live actually in DC?
I will just say she's in the area.
She's in the area, okay. DC, Maryland, Virginia area, something like that. Some in the area.
Yes.
Okay. No, I mean we consider DC, Maryland, and Virginia just like one area, so we just call it the DMV. So she's somewhere in the DMV, and we'll find her. We'll connect. We'll probably start practices fully in January, but I would absolutely keep in touch. I think that would be awesome. Then we'll have to send you some pictures and maybe a video of her catching a ball.
Yeah. I think it'll be great. I think we also discussed as a podcast, we want to help raise money to support these women who want to try out. And so we even talked about that.
Wow.
So do you want to talk a little bit about that, Amber?
Yeah, so what we're trying to do is we know that you ladies are actually paying to play.
Right.
And we're trying to come up with ways and ideas, and hopefully you can take this back to your team because no such thing as a bad idea, right? Ways and ideas to help you guys fundraise in order to pay for the travel, the food, the hotels, the equipment, the rental fees, the referee all of that kind of stuff are various expenses that you all endure as players as well as a league. And if we can help to alleviate even the most minute burden, then we're trying to promote that. So if you guys have fundraisers, activities, community outreach programs that you all want to, promote and put out there, feel free to reach out to RC or myself. We're definitely happy to put it together. If y'all just want to throw a promo out there on your iPhone and send it to us in a message, we say, hey, just so y'all know, Divas DC quarterback out here is getting ready to show up and show out at such and such. Y'all go show some love. So feel free to spread the word and let them know that we're trying to get you guys out there. I feel like the word of mouth is going to be the first step. Fundraising is going to be your second step. And who knows, maybe one of you guys will go viral.
Maybe. Wow. Well, we appreciate that. Obviously, you guys obviously understand the burden, right, with being on the team. There isn't a team that their players don't pay to play, right? And then I would say the fees for each player, ranges from maybe 400, $500 to maybe 12, $1,300. Um, the Pittsburgh team, I know they pay 1,200 every year, right? And that's excluding equipment. So if you were new to the team, you have to buy your helmet, your shoulder pads, and all that stuff. So good thing for us is that we're very big in the community. We're very big with trying to fund areas. So there's always opportunities for us to do that. And I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to kind of put it on your platform and help us along the way because you know I think we there's a lot of us who struggle with the financial part of it. So anyway, we can, like you said, appreciate it.
Definitely. And I've been covering podcatcher football for almost 6 years, and even with the men's football leagues, they come and they go. Right? I've seen the struggle. I started with the Commanders, with the AAF, with the XFL that turned to the UFL. I also cover arena football here in San Antonio. So I see the struggle with the men, but with the women, it's like 100 times more.
Yeah.
We don't get the support, we don't get the marketing. I even get, oh, is it going to be that lingerie football? We're not taken seriously, right? And it's not just one team that succeeds; it's the league that succeeds. So
Right.
we realize and we've learned the importance of not just focusing on one team or two teams or the teams that get the most audience. We have to focus on the league. When one team succeeds, the whole league succeeds. And that's really where our passion comes from.
Yeah. No, you hit the nail on the head. It's not, in order for us to get where we want to go, it's not focused on one team. It's a league thing, and realistically, in order for us to, get where we want to go, we would need, the NFL backing, right? Which they're doing a good job incorporating women, right? Women football players or women coaches now in the NFL. So they're doing a good job. We just aren't there yet with the sponsorship with our league. So you're absolutely right. It starts with the league. And, I think we'll get there soon. But in the meantime,
Sooner.
yeah, sooner. Yes, we appreciate it. Yes.
So with that being said, you bring up the NFL. Who in the NFL would be the number one? Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're here watching me play football.
Right. So I'll give you two people. One is only because he was there at our game this year. It was the Washington Redskins Hall of Fame quarterback. I'm an Eagles fan, so I forget his name. He's won a Super Bowl. Doug Williams. Okay, Doug Williams. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Doug Williams, but he's in the Hall of Fame. He's won a Super Bowl with Washington, with the Redskins. And tall guy. I met him before the game, and I also talked to him at halftime, where he came up to me, and it was the biggest compliment of my life, where he complimented me as a quarterback. So I would say I was very, very honored to have met him and to have received the words that he told me. So that was awesome. But I would say, for me, I'm a huge fan of Aaron Rodgers in terms of how he plays the game. I think he's just, even now, incredibly talented in the way he can, simple things, manipulate a defense with his cadence, right? So before the ball is even snapped, how he calls his cadence, something very simple but super effective, and he uses as a weapon. And just also the way he can throw off of platform and just untraditional throws, right? I've always been a big fan of him. So Aaron Rodgers would be somebody I would be like, oh my gosh, you're here watching me. And then I'd probably pick his brain for as long as he would let me. So that would be a good one.
Nice.
Yeah.
So if you could talk to a room full of female teenagers who are all interested in playing football, what words of advice would you give them about the struggles that they have to overcome to play at your level?
Yeah, that's a very good question. One, I would say no matter how good you are, you're gonna have people who are gonna doubt you. I would say take social media with a grain of salt. Always be a good representation of the sport, um, through social media, because as we know, social media is very big. And you put one thing on there, whether you delete it in 5 seconds, somehow, some way, somebody has it. So I would say be careful with how you represent yourself and your team and the sport with social media. But always, everything starts with having confidence within yourself instead of the outside noise, because there's always going to be that there. And I would say be a student of the game. That's very important, is to be a student of the game. I've seen athletes come and go because they were athletes, they were good, in terms of just being a pure talent, but just couldn't get it together with the student part of it, right? The film part of it, the learning part of it, the educational part of it. So I would say, be a student of the game, be super receptive, be a good representation of the sport, and always have confidence in yourself.
I love that statement, student of the game. I really like that. That needs to go on a shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big one. People don't realize how important that is, to do the work, especially in the off season now, right? We have time as of right now for a couple months, right? This is the time you want to go back in some of your games, right? This is what I do in the off season. I'll go back, I'll rewatch all of our games, and I'll see where the opportunities I've had and that I've missed, right? And what did I do wrong? You have to be very critical of yourself as a student of the game, right? You have to really uh, be self-aware about where you need to improve. And so, for me, I'm very big in film, watching how I can improve. So I don't think that's done enough in the women's game. I think, you know, like I said, I've seen a lot of players come and go, and some of them have been teammates. So I've seen an up close and personal, type of work ethic. So we're getting there, though. We're getting there. We have a good enough work ethic here on this team, luckily, to where we can get where we want to go.
Do you ever look back at some of that film and do the opposite and go, man, I need to remember to do this next time? That was awesome.
Yes, I have to also give myself credit when I need it and give myself grace. Sometimes I don't do that enough. I don't think, I try to be perfect, but I know deep down it's not possible. So I have to always remember to give myself grace. I think one of the best examples was this past season. We played Boston in the playoffs. We were down by 14 points. We ended up coming back. We were at the 2 yard line, first and goal at the 2 yard line, basically to go punch it in and tie it under 2 minutes. We ended up getting to fourth down and goal at the 6 yard line. So we had one play left, and I missed a receiver wide open in the flat. And she would have, if I threw it to her accurately, she would have probably scored because she's fast. And then we would have had an opportunity to go for two and win the game and advance in the playoffs. And so that was one of those moments where, you know, I had to realize that as hard as it was to miss an open receiver like that, I know it didn't make or break the game. So, there were other mistakes that were in the game. And that was just one of them that was more magnified because of the situation. But at the end of the day, I had to give myself grace. And that's one of the things I have to do during film as well. I look back and I say, okay, like for example, I've seen that film already. And I've said, to myself, okay, I've done this well. I've done this well. I didn't play as bad as I thought I did. I just had a bad throw I missed, and it happened to be, bad timing. So I do that.
Good. I always find it very common oversight for women, regardless of what they do, be it athletes, professional, in their relationships, work relationships, friendships, familial kind of relationships, that they're never shown or they don't see the good or the positive impact that they create unless somebody explains it to them. So I always try to make it a point to let people know it's okay. You're good. You did this. You're awesome. Keep going.
very supportive. That's the type of team you need
So I
around
have
too.
a question that's two-part. So there's quite a few football movies out there, right? So first part is tell me your favorite football movie, and the second part is if they were to make a football movie about you, who would play you? What actress would play you?
Wow, that's a good question. I've never had that question before. Well, the favorite movie, I don't think there's any question. There shouldn't be any debate. Rosie says hi.
Hi,
Hi,
Rosie.
Rosie.
Rosie loves me right now, and she wants some attention. The favorite movie, I don't think there's any debate. It should be Remember the Titans. Um, Classic, greatest football movie of all time. It teaches you so much, but it's also super thrilling to be able to watch it. As far as who would play me, man, that is a very tough question. Um, I would need to find somebody that has a little sassiness to them. Because when I'm in sports mode, when I'm in football mode, I'm very, very business-like. Um, Honestly, maybe a younger Michelle Rodriguez, because she's a badass when she, in a lot of movies,
Yeah,
she's you think about
feisty.
Fast and Furious, she can be feisty. So um I would say a younger Michelle Rodriguez when she's, maybe my age. So I would choose her. Even though here's the thing,
Nice.
we're
I watched that movie.
I'm Italian though, and she's Latina maybe. So maybe that wouldn't work, but someone like her, yeah.
Got it.
I could see it. I could see it. I could also see who is it? Jessica Biel when she was in the Blade movie.
Okay, okay,
I could see that one.
that's a good
That
one.
kind of assertive mentality. I can.
Yeah, no,
All right.
that's a good
I
one.
was kind of thinking of Sandra Bullock because she's very powerful.
Sandra Bullock. Yeah, I don't know. She's
No,
rom-com. I don't see her being so like hard hitting,
Yeah, I
Maybe
appreciate
Jessica
well, she's
Alba.
played some strong
Jessica
characters.
Alba. Yeah,
I
she
liked her
can
in
be a,
Dark Angel.
yeah. That was I used to watch that back in the day, so that was fun.
So
Alba's good.
if it was not the DC Divas, which we know are a phenomenal team, what team would you want to play for and why?
I'm gonna get. I think I would get grief for this answer. Um, if anybody on my team ever saw this, it would be
They
Pittsburgh.
will.
It
We'll
would
ask
be
Come
them.
see
We'll ask
it.
them too.
Yeah. So it would be Pittsburgh,
Okay.
which is one of our biggest rivals. For several reasons. I would say I know half of their team already. I've played against a lot of their players for years, and so when you play against the same players for a year and year after year, you start to get to know them. Um, so I know the atmosphere is very good. The team camaraderie is good. That's very important to me. The other reason is obviously the athletes. They have, they were actually the number one seed in our conference this year, right? So they have talent there. So the talent wouldn't be lacking, but also maybe the biggest one is their offensive coordinator. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Lisa Horton. Um, Lisa and I go back 10 years ago, actually, in 2014. Funny story, 2014, I first met her when I was with the Philadelphia Firebirds, and I was very young. I think I was 22 at the time, and she was playing for the Pittsburgh Passion. So first time her and I had met. After the game, our owners introduced each other, separately, and she tried to get me to come to Pittsburgh at that point to play for her, well, to play with them. Um, and so we had a relationship very early on. Um, and now that she became an offensive coordinator, I know that she has a really good mind for the game. She's super creative, and we see football, well, the quarterback position very similarly. And so I know for a fact with Lisa, she would put, make the most out of my ability as a quarterback. And we've worked out before, she used to live in this area. So we've worked out, where we've thrown and did stuff like that. So I would say Pittsburgh. But hopefully my team doesn't kill me for that.
They're not going to give you a hard time on it. Blame
Right.
me.
We're trying to
Blame
promote
me.
all teams, right? It's the league that we're trying to promote. So that was a great public service announcement there for another team, and that's great. You know what I mean? That
It's all
you're
my
able
fault.
to express your passion.
Pun intended. Express your
Yeah.
passion.
Express the passion.
I see what you did there. And it's great. The rivalry is great with them. So, whether you win or whether you lose, there's always a good time after the game. So again, their team, the players that they have there, the environment's always one of the things that's the best thing about women's football. So it's one of the best things I love about the Divas is our culture. It's like 1A, 1B, the playing of it, and then also the people. So, that's, that's big.
Speaking of big, have you ever had?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, RC. What was it?
I was going to say, we're kind of wrapping this up. We've asked you tons of questions. Do you have any questions for us?
What was the primary reason you wanted to cover the Divas? I know you had somebody who lives in the area, right? But I feel like, did you know much about the Divas, or did you want to learn about it? That type of so I guess the process of wanting to focus some diva attention.
Well, I know a couple weeks ago we had the coach from Slam on, and that really piqued all of our interests. Like as soon as we finished the podcast, we're like, "Oh my God, we have to do something to support this league, right?" And I like the strength of the word divas in a DC, in a city that's so male dominated. That's what I really grabbed my attention. And I thought that I could bring some attention, well-deserved attention to the team, and that's why I picked it.
To be honest, she beat them out in the draft. Okay, we drafted the teams and we took our draft, and she beat me to the pick. That's what it was.
I love the name. I love the name.
She swiped you guys from me. I was really irritated about it because I was like, man, I want to go up to DC and cover some of these games.
Wow.
No, she had to take them before me.
So you guys did a whole
age
draft.
Before beauty. Age before beauty.
Wow. That's great. That's a good story. She swiped the Divas from you.
She did.
Hi, Amanda. I've been a producer behind the thing. No, my name is not Amanda.
Amanda, meet Amanda.
Hello, Amanda.
He's a man.
Duh. That's my fiance's name. I'm Spurge, one of the founders of Fuel. Another reason why, and when you asked that, another reason why you asked why we were so interested into the Women's Football League or Alliance is what better way for a women's show, an all-women's show, to promote an entire women's football league?
Yeah.
Because where else do you get that? Where else do you have that? None of the other guys are doing it. So
yeah,
perfect example.
Women empowerment is big, and we actually do like we've gone to like women empowerment rallies, right? With so we, if our owner, and I've talked to our owner, Rich Daniel, about the opportunity to come on here and talk with you guys, and he's big and he understands the mission from what I've explained with him, and he's big on women empowerment. So that's what it sounds like. This this is a kind of one of those outreaches. So I think it's awesome.
So I have one question for you. Yeah. I run this network and I deal with three women.
Choose your next words wisely, Spurge.
Very powerful and opinionated women. Give me a word of advice, or give me some advice how I can deal with the three of these women.
Okay. So I would say, just like when you're in a marriage, they're right. They're always right.
I love it. I love it.
All right, I'm leaving. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you for joining. I appreciate it.
I will
Yes.
say, Amanda, please tell Mr. Daniels we truly do appreciate it. Without the men that recognize the need for women's sports, for women to have that empowerment, we would be nothing. The league, the women's league would not be there. It's phenomenal and exceptional businessmen like himself, like Spurge that produces our show, and those kind of men that definitely allow us women to be the examples for future generations. And I appreciate them for that. I appreciate him for that. We would love to have him on the show if he's happy to come on. As an owner of a women's team, that's got to be an awesome story to get into. I'd love to pick his brain for it. And again, quarterback, offensive player of the year, DC Diva, amazing. It goes on and on. I can't wait to see you as an offensive coordinator in the stage among stages.
Wow.
I look forward to the wonderful future.
Greg. Hey, Greg.
Good
I have to
job,
put on my
Greg.
glasses to read that comment. Lord. Age before beauty. Big Papa G Entertainment is all about women empowerment. I would be happy to support anytime. That's Greg Harris.
Greg, reach out to us. Please comment on our sites. Speaking of sites, where can we find you, quarterback? Where will we find you on social media? Here's the time to plug it up.
Plug it up. Well, I have a Facebook. I have an Instagram. My Facebook is my first and my last name. It's Amanda Congialdi. And then my Instagram is Congialdi6. That's my number 6. And then I do have a TikTok that's really just centered around dogs and football. And it's literally called Dogs and Balls.
I like it.
Love it.
So that's my life is dogs and football. And they don't they won't have it any other way. They love it. And yeah, so that's the extent of my social media.
Well, Ms. Congialdi, thank you so very much for coming on. We look forward to seeing you guys perform and rise above and beyond. And RC's got her coordinators out there for interviews and potential promos and all of that. Anything we can do to help, please let us know. We're happy to spread the word and spread the love for the DC Divas, as well as all the other teams in the Women's Football Association. Thank you so much again for coming on.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. This has been fun. I appreciate it, RC. Thank you so much for giving me another week for my my work issues. And then I will also reach out to our owner, Rich Daniel, and RC. I'm sure he'll contact you sometime soon because he's an interesting guy. Great background. So it's been super fun, Amber. Great to meet you. Hopefully we can connect again in the future. And RC, maybe I'll see you sometime in the future.
Yes, of course.
Always. Have a good one, Amanda.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night. Thank you.
Bye.
RC.
Yes, ma'am.
This is the reason I wanted the DC Divas right there. I read up on, oh man, I was like, ooh, I want that team. And you got them. Oh, so jealous.
Well,
that's
whatever
okay.
team you represent, you're going to do amazing. So the team doesn't matter. It's you. You're the diamond. You're the one that brings it all out and brings it all together.
Not at all. Not at all. I'm not here without great people like you, great people like Amanda. We got to make sure that everybody gets the word out. Please, ladies and gentlemen, if you are out there, tell a friend, post it, share it, like it. Go find Amanda Congialdi. I'm gonna get this, I promise you. And
Good.
follow her, follow the DC Divas, follow the other women's football teams in your local area, as well as us guys. You can find us on Fire Stick, on Roku. We are the #1 women's show for the Fuel Sports Network, and we're here on your Women Crush Wednesdays. Thank you so very much, everybody, for joining us. Amanda, we hope you feel better soon. We will definitely see you all next week, and we will have wonderful guests. Do you know who we're going to have? I think that's Amanda's turn, yeah?
Yeah, that's Amanda's team.
I'm being told we're going to have a couple, not one, but 2 potential personalities on here to help with the women's football. We'll see how that plays out. In the meantime, guys, my name is Amber. As always, it is a pleasure. This is RC with me, and we appreciate y'all. Come back and see us again next week. Have a great one, guys.
Have a blessed one.